What's happening, YouTube? Jonathan Perriente, the Education 10 here, coming at you guys with another video. I want to ask you guys to please continue to check and subscribe to my channel for more YouTube videos. And, well, we're once again back with the NFL playoffs, and we are now going to begin the divisional playoff round, coming off a very exciting wild card round last week. 8 teams went in, 4 came out. And now the divisional playoff round is set, and we will have our winners determined to go to the AFC and the NFC championship game the following week. So now we have our matchups, and we're going to find out who is going to emerge from the pack of these final 8 teams. The number 1 and 2 seeds each had the bye for the wild card round, and now they will play in the divisional playoffs. So the 49ers, the Packers, the Chiefs, and finally the Ravens will all be in action starting tonight on Saturday, this afternoon, and tomorrow on Sunday. So, without further ado, why don't we dive right in and let's find out, at least for my predictions, who I think will emerge from the divisional round and will go to the championship game, the final speed bump on the way to Super Bowl 54, which will be held in Miami, Florida on February 2nd. And I'll tell you this, we're going to have a very wild ride. Now let's begin with the first game that will kick off the divisional playoff round, the Minnesota Vikings and the San Francisco 49ers. Well, Kirk Cousins was coming off one of the most exhilarating games of his career. An overtime thriller. He beat New Orleans on the first drive of the overtime, which meant the Saints never got the ball. And now he will take on Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers at Levi's Stadium in San Francisco. One thing that's going to be on display for sure, the 49ers are not the Saints. Let's be very real here. They have a quicker defense. They have a better pace of action on their offensive line. Garoppolo very good at finding open receivers. And the Niners have a very solid running game with a solid passing game to boot. Dealing with the likes of Deebo Samuel, dealing with George Kittle, dealing with Raheem Mostert, dealing with Nick Bosa is going to be a very tall order for Minnesota. While the Vikings are going to have a good advantage on their end of the field with Dalvin Cook, with Stephon Diggs, you just wonder, will Kirk Cousins be able to duplicate the same success he had twice? My answer is not this go around. I just think the 49ers are a little bit stronger right now than the Vikings. They have a much more high-powered team, and with Garoppolo, you kind of like your chances. And being that it's in San Fran, the Vikings are going to have a tougher time with this team than they did with New Orleans. But my prediction will be a close game. It will be the 49ers who come out on top over the Vikings. My final score, San Francisco 27, the Vikings 23. Kirk Cousins will throw a costly pick late in the game that will seal it for Jimmy G and the 49ers as they will advance to the NFC championship game. So now let's move on to our second game of the night on Saturday. It will be the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans at M&T Bank Stadium. Ryan Tannehill, Lamar Jackson. Well, Titans were coming off probably the biggest upset of the entire playoff, defeating Tom Brady and the Patriots in Gillette Stadium. Ryan Tannehill didn't really have to do much. He barely threw the football at all, 72 yards on 8 of 15. Derrick Henry ran the ball 34 times for over 180 yards, had a big touchdown late in the first half, and the Titans in their solid defense held New England to 9 first downs and then a pick at the end sealed it for them. But now they're going to go to Baltimore. M&T Bank Stadium, a very loud place to play. The Ravens have won 12 in a row. Lamar Jackson playing, well, as good as any quarterback in his young career to start in the NFL. The Ravens have a very deadly running attack, which is going to make them dangerous. When you have guys like Gus Edwards, You have Justice Hill. You have Lamar Jackson on his own, who could run the ball for over 100 yards and throw for over 200 yards if he needs to. And this is without Mark Ingram. The Ravens have some solid receivers on their end of the field, too. You have Willie Snead. You have Hayden Hurst. You have Andrews. So you have to look at it this way. Do the Titans have enough to stop the Ravens? And I'm sorry to say my answer will be no. The Ravens just are playing on such a high right now. Right now, they're the favorite to not only go to the Super Bowl, maybe, but at least to win it is not impossible for them. And again, it's in Baltimore, very hard place to play for an opposing team. The Ravens are one of the best defensive teams in the league. They do not give up many touchdowns. So I predict this will be a pretty easy game for Baltimore. They will shut down Derrick Henry and the one-dimensional Titans offense. My final score, Baltimore Ravens win 35-17. Lamar Jackson will run in for 2 touchdowns. He'll throw 2, no interceptions. The Ravens will be going on into the AFC title game. And now we go to Sunday's matchups. We begin with the 3:05 game on CBS, the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead, another loud arena to play. Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and I think this is going to be one of the most exciting quarterback matchups we will see in the playoffs for this coming Sunday. You get 2 young quarterbacks in the beginnings of their career, both of whom now have tasted the playoffs, both of whom know how to win. Texans were coming off a huge comeback win over the Buffalo Bills, went to overtime, beat them in Houston last week. But this is going to be a different animal going to Arrowhead, and when you're playing a high-powered offense under Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes at the helm. I will give credit where it's due. Both teams have very even offenses. Both teams have a solid receiving core. The Chiefs have Tyreek Hill. Texans have DeAndre Hopkins. The Chiefs don't have much of a running game right now. The running game's not their strength. The Texans have Carlos Hyde. You have Damian Williams. You have Ware. You have like little mixes of runners. But it's not what the Texans have. The defenses are very equally built. Whitney Merciless on one end. You have solid defense on the other end of Kansas City. So you like this matchup. I think this is going to be a close game. But in the end, only one can win. And I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes will guide the Chiefs. It will be a slugfest. This will not be a blowout game. Both teams are going to give it everything they have. But in the end, it's going to come down to one final possession. And in this case, it'll come down to a field goal, which I think Harrison Butker will kick. And I predict the Chiefs will defeat the Texans and will face the Ravens in the AFC title game. My final score, the Chiefs 32, the Texans 29. It'll be a solid game. Watson will throw for over 250 yards. Mahomes, I predict, will throw for 350 yards, as it will be it'll be Ravens-Chiefs in the AFC title game. And now that brings me to our final game. The 6:40 game on Fox, the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks in Lambeau. Well, talk about a legendary place to play. A place where Vince Lombardi coached, Brett Favre played, Bart Starr played, and now Aaron Rodgers. In the late 30s of his career, he's won a Super Bowl already. But now you have to look at this matchup when you play Russell Wilson and you're facing a Seahawks team that really wants to get back at that Super Bowl that they basically blew a few years ago to New England when they should have run the ball. Well, now they have back Marshawn Lynch. They have Turbin back, at least kind of their old core at running back, not the new core that's out for the year. But they have found themselves the new number 1 receiver that they were lacking for a long time. DK Metcalf has proven himself as a rookie to be that new receiver that Russell Wilson will throw the football to. On the other side, you have Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and of course the very talented Devontae Adams. Very solid core on each end. So this is going to also come down to the wire, just like the Chiefs and the Texans. And you know what? I'm going to be very real with you. This is an upset I think we're going to have. the one series that I think the road team will win. I'm predicting, and yes, you heard it here, I think Seattle is winning this game in Lambeau. They're a very good road team, and I think that Russell Wilson, who like Rodgers does not turn over the football, will find a way to win this game. My prediction, again, it will be close. Seattle 35, Green Bay 32. It'll come down to a late field goal. Russell Wilson will throw for 330 yards. Rodgers will make this close. He won't throw a pick either. Go for 350, with 2 touchdown passes. So there you have it. The close games that I think we're going to see. The only one blowout I have is the Ravens and the Titans. And I think if this does live out to the prediction that I'm calling right now, we're going to be fastening our seatbelts for one very exciting championship game weekend the following week from now. So let me go over the time starts of each game just one more time for those. I know I didn't mention it earlier. The Vikings will play the 49ers. That will be the first game tomorrow on Saturday. Technically today on Saturday. It's in the wee hours here. It'll be at 4:35 West Coast, Levi's Stadium, Minnesota, San Francisco. That will be on NBC. Following that will be the Titans and the Ravens in Baltimore. CBS, it'll be at 8:15, the primetime game on Saturday. Then we have the Sunday games tomorrow. The 3:05 game, Houston and Kansas City and Arrowhead on CBS. And then the nightcap game, the primetime game on Sunday, Seattle, Green Bay, Lambeau Field on Fox. So I think if we really get the matchups that I think we're going to have, I would love to see Seattle and San Fran in the championship game, kind of get revenge on that last game of the year, and I think it'll be a battle to see Wilson battle Garoppolo will be a classic matchup. And then on the other end, Lamar Jackson against Patrick Mahomes. And what is really great about this year's playoff, it's all young quarterbacks. It's no longer the Bradys. It's no longer the Brees. It's no longer the Mannings. It's no longer the Favres. We are seeing now pretty much the next generation of quarterbacks if this championship game Final Four holds out. And boy, we could be seeing these matchups in the future for the next 5 or 10 years, which, as a fan, you absolutely have to love. Well, we're going to find everything out tomorrow. And today, the divisional playoffs begin. The championship game awaits. The road to the Super Bowl will follow. Jonathan Pariente, The Execution 10, saying bye for now.